A divorce fight, a shared bank account, a NASA astronaut living on the International Space Station, and a claim that went viral as the first crime in space. But years later, the truth came out. The person who made the claim now admits she lied, and she might go to prison for it. Hello viewers, I'm Kavya Khandelwal and you're watching The Edge. So what actually happened? Why did NASA and the FTC get pulled into someone's personal drama? And how did a family dispute turn into a global headline? Let's break it all down. The year was 2019. A woman named Summer Warden, a former Air Force intelligence officer, made a shocking allegation against her ex-wife. NASA astronaut N. McClain accessed her bank account from the International Space Station. This was the first time anyone had accused an astronaut of breaking the law while in orbit. Instantly, the media grabbed the story. Everyone said, wow, the first ever crime committed in space. It had everything: an astronaut in space, a divorce, a bank account, and a headline that sounded like a Netflix show. Summer said Anne guessed her password while floating 400 kilometers above Earth and logged in to check her financial details. This was serious. NASA's Inspector General jumped in. The Federal Trade Commission launched an investigation because if an astronaut really committed identity theft from the ISS, it would set a legal precedent for space crimes. But before we go further, you need to know the background of these two. First is Anne McClain, NASA astronaut, Iraq War veteran, highly respected, one of the faces of America's space program. Second is Summer Warden, former Air Force intelligence, smart, trained and private. Had a son born through surrogacy before meeting Anne. The couple married in 2014. Like many couples, they had shared finances. But in 2015, Summer gave Anne full access to her bank accounts because they were managing family expenses together. Everything was normal until the marriage began falling apart. By 2018, things got ugly. Summer opened a personal bank account. She filed for divorce. The two were in a tense custody battle over Summer's son. Anne wanted shared parenting rights. Summer refused. So by the time 2019 came around, the relationship was already broken. And then came the space crime claim. Here's the real challenge in this story. Was Anne actually accusing Summer's bank account behind her back? Or was this a misunderstanding from a messy divorce? Summer said Anne invaded her privacy. Anne said she had always used the account to pay family bills even after they separated. So the government had to figure out who was telling the truth. And did a NASA astronaut really commit identity theft from space? This wasn't just gossip, this was a federal investigation. Investigators went through every detail, and as they checked the timeline, the cracks started showing. Number 1, the biggest discovery. Summer had already given Anne access to the accounts back in 2015 with permission in writing. Number 2, the second red flag. Summer told investigators she opened the new bank account on a certain date, but records show she opened it months earlier. Number 3, third issue. She said Anne guessed her password, but investigators found no sign of hacking. Instead, Anne logged in the same way she had done for years, the same password, same credentials, same routine. Number 4, Summer said she changed her password before 2019, but bank logs showed she didn't. It became clear that Summer wasn't just confused, she had lied about key details. Investigators realized that Anne wasn't breaking into anything. She was simply checking the account she had always used to handle family expenses, especially for Summer's son, whom Anne was still helping to raise. Anne even told the court, I accessed the account to make sure our son was okay. Meanwhile, Summer told the court that Anne had a temper and bad financial habits. Anne told the court that Summer had a history of rash decisions. Both sides were fighting to control, and finances were the emotional trigger point. But in all this drama, something important happened. The story went public before the investigation finished. Media outlets worldwide ran with the headlines, "First crime in space," and took massive reputational damage. People online called her a criminal, and NASA had to answer embarrassing questions. All because of a disputed login? And then came the twist. Years after the incident in 2024-2025, Summer Warden finally admitted in court that she had lied. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of making false statements. One to NASA's Office of Inspector General and one to the Federal Trade Commission. She now faces up to 5 years in prison, up to $250,000 in fines. The crime in space that shocked the world was never a crime at all. It was a false accusation created during a painful divorce, and the person everyone suspected, the astronaut floating peacefully above Earth, was actually innocent. This wasn't a space scandal, it was a human one. So here's the takeaway. A personal fight on Earth created a global headline in space. A simple bank login during a divorce turned into a world's first space crime. NASA had to investigate. Millions believed a lie. An astronaut's career was almost destroyed. And years later, the truth came out. The whole thing was a hoax built on false statements. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow The Edge.